The story begins on a mysterious planet called Eternia. Right in the heart of the city of Eternos stands a magical fortress known as Castle Grayskull. This fortress is no ordinary place. For centuries, it has been guarding a miraculous sword containing power so terrifying that it can transform any ordinary human into a literal god in the blink of an eye. For years, a single prophecy has echoed across the entire planet. Whenever the shadow of death looms over Eternia, and absolute destruction breaks out from all sides, an unknown savior will arrive, claim this sword, and save everyone's lives. But until that true savior finally reaches this weapon, the immense responsibility of protecting this entire fortress and that magical sword rests squarely on the shoulders of an incredibly powerful sorceress. On the other hand, Prince Adam absolutely hated fighting. All he wanted to do was chill at home with his pet tiger, Cringer. But his mother, Queen Marlena, practically forces him into a combat class. There, the royal guard, Duncan, was training everyone, and his daughter Teela, a fierce warrior, wipes the floor with Adam in the blink of an eye. Just then, King Randor walks in, and seeing his son in this pathetic state, his blood boils. The king instantly draws his sword, lunges at Adam, slams him to the ground, and tells him straight to his face that in this ruthless world, the weak have no right to survive. A little while later, while Teela is trying to talk some sense into Adam, a terrifying fleet of enemy ships suddenly appears in the sky and starts raining bombs all over the city. Without wasting a single second, Duncan orders his army to attack. That elite team of royal guards consisted of some incredibly lethal, heroic warriors. Ram Man starts blowing enemies away with his iron-hard head. Mechanic wreaks absolute havoc using his long extending neck, and Fisto literally shatters enemy bones with his massive steel fists. To protect the royal family, Duncan takes on the enemy army entirely on his own. In a corridor, he comes face to face with a vicious, terrifying monster named Trapjaw. Duncan sends the family away to safety and launches a brutal attack on Trapjaw. A deadly, all-out fight breaks out between the two, and Duncan somehow manages to plunge a dagger straight into Trapjaw's stomach. But Trapjaw instantly counters, transforms his arm into a massive cannon, and fires. He slaps a bomb onto the wall and slips away. Just then, Teela arrives on the scene, and exactly 1 second before the bomb detonates, she grabs her father and dives out the window. Meanwhile, on the palace bridge, the terrifying enemy leader, Skeletor, completely surrounds King Randor and his family. The king fights like an absolute beast, taking on the enemies all by himself, but eventually, out of sheer exhaustion, he is defeated. After this, Skeletor smashes Randor's statue to pieces and declares himself the new king. Over at Castle Grayskull, the sorceress hands that magical sword to Adam and tells him to run as far away as possible. To save Adam, Marlena takes a magical, deadly blast from Skeletor right to her own chest. The sorceress immediately opens a magical portal to Earth and shoves Adam inside. But the sheer force of the portal's energy blasts the magical sword right out of Adam's hands, and Adam falls straight through, landing directly in a lake on Earth. Fast forward exactly 15 years later, in Oklahoma. Adam is now a grown man, out on a date, completely pouring his heart out to a girl and telling her this exact magical story. The girl thinks he is a total lunatic, gets up, and bolts right out of there. When he gets back home, his roommate Hussein taunts him, telling him that childhood trauma has totally messed up his brain and is making up all these crazy magical fantasies. The very next day, Adam is at work in his incredibly boring human resources office. He's sitting there, endlessly searching the internet trying to find that lost magical sword when his incredibly strict boss catches him and threatens to fire him on the spot. But Adam completely tunes her out, because at that exact second, he receives a message from a totally unknown guy claiming that he actually has the magical sword. Adam goes straight to the address, which actually turns out to be a comic book store. There, his magical sword is stuck right in the hands of a massive, heavy statue. Adam pulls on the sword with all his might, but the heavy statue tips over and falls right on top of him. A customer standing nearby casually whips out his phone and starts recording a video of him. Adam uses every last ounce of energy he has left and finally manages to yank the sword out. He instantly shouts the magic words and waves the sword in the air, but absolutely no magic happens. The store owner screams at him that the sword is not for sale, but Adam grabs the sword and bolts right out of there. Going absolutely crazy with excitement, Adam speeds off in his car, crashing into and blowing through several things along the way to make his escape. Once he gets home, Adam desperately begs and pleads with the sword to do some magic, but it's completely useless. The very next morning, 2 cops show up, slap handcuffs on Adam, and arrest him for theft. But on the way, the police car gets stuck in a massive traffic jam. Suddenly, outside on the street, people start running in absolute terror because a vicious beastman is wreaking total havoc all over the city. His terrifying gaze locks right onto Adam, and he walks up and straight up rips the door of the police car right off its hinges. Grabbing Grabbing his only chance, Adam snatches his sword, smashes through the car window, and makes a run for it. That man-eating beast man starts chasing Adam right down the highway. He starts hurling massive crates, knocking Adam down onto the road, and then literally tosses him up into the air, smashing him hard against a massive truck. The impact sends the sword flying out of Adam's hands. The beast man is just about to finish Adam off for good when suddenly he takes a massive gunshot straight to the chest and stumbles backward. Out of nowhere, a girl shows up and absolutely unleashes on the beast man with her weapons, beating him down mercilessly before blasting him right off the edge of the highway. When she turns around, Adam is left completely shocked because it wasn't just some random girl. It was his old best friend, Teela. But right then, that vicious beast man leaps back up and launches a lethal attack on Teela. Moving with lightning speed, Teela rips off a car door and completely smashes it straight into his face. She tells Adam that the sword's magical signal is the only reason they were able to track him down. Running for their lives, they both dive straight off the highway. Sprinting away, they reach a park where Teela's spaceship is parked. They instantly rush inside and lock the door. The beast man tries to desperately cling to the outside of the ship, but Teela fires up the ship's portal, and the sheer speed and force send the beast man tumbling back down. Along the way, Teela breaks the heartbreaking news. The planet of Eternia has been completely destroyed, and there is absolutely no trace of his parents anywhere. Arriving back on Eternia and seeing his once great city turned into absolute ruins, Adam is completely shattered on the inside. Little did they know, an enemy named Triclops was secretly spying on their every single move. Meanwhile, back at the Snake Mountain Fortress, the Beast Man returns empty-handed, and a furious Skeletor brutally burns him with his magical staff. Just then, the evil sorceress, Evil Lyn, brings him the news. The magical sword has returned. Skeletor immediately orders his forces to seize it at all costs, because to become the absolute god of the entire universe, he needed that magical sword no matter what. A little while later, Teela's ship lands inside a top-secret underground bunker, but because Triclops was tailing them, the enemies now knew the exact location of their hidden base. Teela presents Adam to the guards there, but absolutely no one is ready to believe that this guy is the real Prince Adam. Adam pulls out and shows them his actual corporate business card, and seeing this, the guards instantly confiscate his magical sword and throw both of them straight into a prison cell. Behind bars, they find a drunk Duncan, standing alongside a highly powerful Class 4 robot named Roboto. At that exact second, enemy fighter ships start heavily bombarding the bunker. On Adam's command, that massive iron robot marches up, smashes into the heavy prison door, and completely blows it off its hinges. Teela splashes water on Duncan's face to wake him up, but a totally wasted Duncan just throws up right on Adam's shoes, so Roboto simply loads him onto his massive metal shoulders. Outside, Skeletor arrives with his terrifying army. In the middle of the chaotic battle, Ram Man falls to the ground, but he shoves his sword into Adam's hands and charges right back into the swarm of enemies. Dodging a massive hail of bullets, the entire team manages to reach a cave. Hiding in the shadows, they look ahead and see the vicious Trapjaw standing there with his entire army. Adam, going into full corporate office mode, walks up to calmly negotiate with him, but Trapjaw has absolutely zero interest in small talk. He instantly launches a lethal attack and throws Adam straight off the edge of the bridge. Teela screams at Adam to use the sword. Adam grips the hilt, looks at the sorceress's face, and yells at the top of his lungs, "Give me the power of Grayskull!" Suddenly, a terrifying, massive bolt of magical lightning strikes straight down from the sky onto the sword, transforming Adam into the ultimate, most powerful warrior of Grayskull. The vicious Trapjaw leaps at him to disarm him, but Adam blocks every single strike, brutally rips Trapjaw's machine gun metal arm right out of its socket, and uses it to absolutely mow down all the enemies. After this, they grab the sword, hop into Teela's ship, and make a massive getaway. Enraged by this defeat, Skeletor sends his fighter ships right after them. An insane high-speed dogfight breaks out in the sky. One of the enemy ships uses a massive buzzsaw to start slicing right through Teela's ship. Adam instantly deploys an airbike and takes the fight directly to the enemies. He rams the flying airbike straight into the enemy soldiers, leaps onto another ship, and chucks the pilot right out. Just then, the buzzsaw ship attacks again, but Adam catches that high-speed spinning saw with his bare hands and smashes the entire ship into another fighter jet. Following this, Teela's heavily damaged ship plummets rapidly toward the ground and violently crashes straight into the jungle. Meanwhile, back at the bunker, Skeletor stands there like the literal angel of death. He executes one of the guards with a deadly magical beam. Seeing this sheer brutality, the terrified survivors spill the truth. truth. The real champion is none other than Prince Adam. Hearing this, Skeletor immediately orders his troops to throw everyone into the dungeon to rot. In the jungle, Duncan finds his old armor and gears up. Adam regains consciousness, and to repair the ship, he literally lifts the entire spacecraft into the air with just one hand. Once the job is done, Adam tries to get close to Teela, but she completely friend-zones him and backs away. Suddenly, a massive magical projection of Skeletor's face appears in the sky. He makes a chilling offer. He will spare Adam's parents' lives in exchange for the sword. Adam is desperate to save them no matter what, so the entire team gears up and heads out to take Skeletor down for good. The moment they reach the fortress gates, Evil Lyn captures the rest of the team, and Adam is dragged right in front of Skeletor. King Randor is also being held captive there. Adam flat out refuses to hand over the sword and unleashes absolute hell on Skeletor's vicious warriors all by himself. He absolutely destroys them all, snaps off Goatman's horns, and tosses him straight into a pit of boiling lava. Seeing this terrifying display of raw power, King Randor feels incredibly proud of his son. But just then, Evil Lyn uses her dark magic to freeze Adam solid in a block of ice. Skeletor threatens to execute the king right there. Hearing this, Adam goes completely berserk, shatters the magical ice out of pure rage, and fires off a massive blast of energy. But the blast violently hits the cave ceiling, and massive boulders come crashing down. Right on top of King Randor, like a madman, Adam frantically digs through the rubble and pulls his father out. But King Randor, apologizing to his son, takes his very last breath and dies right there in his arms. While Adam is crying his eyes out in pure agony, Skeletor sneaks up from behind, strikes him hard, and knocks him completely unconscious. When Adam finally regains consciousness, he has reverted back to his normal human form, locked in a dark dungeon alongside his mother, Queen Marlena. Meanwhile, Skeletor grabs the sword and chants the magic words, but absolutely no magic happens. That's when Evil Lyn reveals the dark truth. To unlock the true magic, they must place the sword directly onto the original pedestal inside Castle Grayskull. Hearing this, Skeletor gathers his massive army and marches straight for the castle. Down in the dark dungeon, Duncan and Adam are completely shattered by their defeat. But just then, Adam remembers the ultimate lesson Duncan taught him as a kid: never, ever give up. Reinvigorated, both of them swear to fight to their absolute last breath. Suddenly, Teela walks in with an epic surprise. His beloved pet tiger, Cringer, was right there with her, and now he could actually talk like a human. Seeing his best friend, Adam is filled with a massive surge of new energy. He delivers such a powerful, heavy-hitting speech about teamwork that it completely ignites a new fire inside everyone present. Working together, they push against the heavy iron door while Roboto blasts the stone above, completely blowing the door wide open. The second they step outside, they come face to face with the enemy army, but the heroic warriors take them down in a heartbeat. The warriors hijack the enemy ships and fly off to liberate their city of Eternos. An absolutely brutal war breaks out in the city, where the heroes start slicing through the enemies like they are nothing. Meanwhile, Adam, Teela, and Duncan grab a ship and head straight for Castle Grayskull. Duncan stays behind to guard the bridge, while Adam convinces a terrified Cringer to be brave and takes him inside. Inside the castle, the exact second Skeletor places the sword on the pedestal, Adam's team crashes in. Cringer tosses the guards up into the air, and Adam leaps forward, snatching his sword right back. Teela launches a brutal attack on Evil Lyn, shattering her freezing magic and continuing the fierce fight. The vicious Beastman cracks his whip, but Cringer catches the whip right in his teeth and brutally slams him to the ground. Outside on the bridge, Duncan and Roboto are absolutely mowing down the enemies with heavy gunfire. When the swarm gets too big, they fire at a massive statue, causing the entire bridge to collapse and crash straight into the abyss. But suddenly, Trapjaw flies in on a ship and rains down a hail of bullets on Roboto, blowing him to absolute pieces. Seeing this, Duncan's blood boils with rage, and he leaps directly onto the flying ship. He smashes through the glass, beats Trapjaw mercilessly, shoves a live bomb straight into his mouth, and dives off. The ship explodes into a massive fireball. Landing safely, Duncan breathes a sigh of relief because Roboto's head was actually still functioning. Back inside the castle, Adam is desperately blocking Skeletor's relentless attacks. The sword takes so many heavy magical strikes that it literally shatters into pieces. Skeletor picks up the empty hilt and ruthlessly ruthlessly mocks Adam. Using his dark magic, he grabs Adam's head and banishes him into a world of illusions. Adam sees himself being humiliated in places like his gym, on a date, and at his office. Skeletor, wearing a corporate suit, tells Adam that he can never be a hero and that Eternia is nothing but a fake dream. In the real world, Skeletor brutally plunges a broken shard of the sword straight into Adam's stomach and tosses him into that illusionary room. Just then, a bird flies in. It was actually the sorceress. She reveals the ultimate truth. The real power was never in the sword. It was inside Adam's humanity. As he chants the magic words, all the raw power of the sword flows directly into Adam's body, and his chest begins to glow with pure energy. Adam's eyes snap open, and he rips the sharp shard right out of his stomach. The magical energy heals his deadly wound in a split second, and a massive shockwave ripples through the air, magically forging all the shattered pieces of the sword back together. Fired up, Adam shouts the magical words, and this time, he transforms into He-Man with such terrifying, explosive power that a blinding light engulfs the entire city. Adam tries to reason with Skeletor calmly, but Skeletor just laughs and launches a massive attack. Skeletor pushes Adam into a corner, but then Adam's eyes light up. He coldly states that he knows exactly how to use his power. He just chooses not to. After that, without even breaking a sweat, Adam absolutely batters Skeletor, tossing him around in the air like a sack of potatoes. Seeing this absolute beatdown, Evil Lyn quietly slips away and escapes. Desperate to save his own life, Skeletor fires dark magical beams, but Adam blocks every single one of them. When Skeletor finally admits defeat, Adam grabs his magical staff and overloads it with so much pure magic that the staff violently explodes. The massive magical shockwave blows Skeletor's body completely apart, leaving only his bare skull to drop to the ground. Adam and his friends walk away victorious. 6 months later, the glorious city of Eternos is fully restored to its former glory, and Queen Marlena takes her rightful place on the throne. Roboto gets a brand new, upgraded body, and even Hussein travels to the city, finally believing Adam's crazy story. The moment the danger signal hits, Adam transforms into He-Man, hops onto his magical armor-clad Tiger Cringer, and rides out to protect his people. The Queen still holds on to the hope that her second child will return. And right then, deep in the jungle, a mysterious girl is seen holding the exact same magical sword. Meanwhile, back in the ruined castle, Evil Lyn steps out of the shadows and picks up Skeletor's fallen skull. And with this massive, suspenseful cliffhanger, the story comes to an end. Let us know what you thought of this video in the comments down below, and absolutely do not forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.